Yes, good evening all of you. Good evening. Yes, today's session also having this reverse engineering module only, this current affairs article based MCQs and associated PYQs. Here we coming to this first article, directly we will go to that, and Monday onwards at 2 p.m. you will be having a session that is upscale meditation mentorship. It has a more theme related to UPSC confidence covenant. What does it mean? If prelims ended you, your money returns, that is the confidence expressed under this upscale program. You are going to practice 10,000 MCQs, 1000 minds question answers. Yes, as you know that all right, and 300 hours extensive lectures of the test explanation. A new technology for converting carbon dioxide to carbon monoxide holds potential for carbon capture and energy saving in the steel sector. So, this is an energy efficient methodology which is brought by the government of India. Therefore, this may be having a potential in coming to the examination, because there is a question based on such steel slag, fly ash and energy efficient emerging technologies. These are very important because of the previous year questions that we are seeing here in 2020 itself. Steel slag can be material for which of the following, like construction of base road, improvement of agriculture, soil and production of cement. This is a question given in 2020. So, therefore, you need to understand various other aspects of efficient energy systems that are brought by the government of India. Now, the article is talking about synthesized gas, syngas, a new energy efficient carbon dioxide capture technology which will convert carbon dioxide into carbon monoxide to bring a potentiality for this carbon capture and energy saving in the steel sector. Therefore, synchronized gas is very important, that is synthesized gas, or not synchronized, syngas, that is synthesized gas. It is a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen, that is true. It is a mixture of carbon dioxide and monoxide. It is combustible and can be used as a fuel, that is also true. Next, syngas based steel production can result in reduced carbon dioxide emissions compared to blast furnace methods. Yes, in conventional blast furnace methods, there is huge emission of greenhouse gas and carbon emission, that is. Now, this synthesized gas, because it is using this hydrogen component which is less GHG potential and no GHG potential, it is an element we used in this synthesized gas. Therefore, it will reduce the carbon emission compared to blast furnace methods, and the production of syngas, that is synthesized gas, can involve various feedstocks including natural gas, coal, biomass and waste material. However, syngas is not completely not carbon emitting substance, it is definitely a carbon emitting substance. However, compared to conventional blast furnaces, it is less in terms of emission of carbon, that is GHGs, greenhouse gas. Next, production of syngas involve various feedstocks including coal, biomass, because coal is one such GHG element, and next waste material, making it a flexible energy source. Waste material may contain methane, because that is also very important, that is having highest potential in GHG in retaining aspect. Next, in traditional steel making, carbon dioxide emissions are significant because coke, that is a form of coal, is used a reducing agent in the blast furnace which releases a substantial amount of carbon dioxide. Therefore, I have told you that it may also emit carbon dioxide, therefore, it is a GHG emitting substance. However, compared to conventional blast furnaces which completely rely on carbon dioxide and coking coal and other high potential GHG emitting substances, compared to conventional blast furnaces, it is releasing less emissions. That is why we are adopting this one, because it is combination of, it is a mixture of that is a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. This is about synthesis gas, and it is a combustible mixture of hydrogen and carbon monoxide containing carbon dioxide and methane as well. I have told you that because it contains waste material, that is why methane element, the substance, may also involve in this waste material. Next, climate change raises concerns about food and water security and concerted action needed to tackle the issue. This is about President Draupadi Murmu saying that the climate change is creating certain concerns about the food and water security, and the concerted action is needed to immediately tackle this issue. And at the same time, she also underlined need to preserve, promote, utilize indigenous knowledge, addressing the inaugural function of this national level art exhibition in New Delhi. this in our Delhi only. Okay. And coming to this major important statistics part, here with respect to here climate change, which is raising concerns with respect to flora and fauna, right. The concerns mostly that significant, the article which is signifying the impact on flora and fauna must be considered. That is why irrespective of the statements given by prominent persons, you need to see through the lens of UPSC. Here UPSC may focus more on the impact on flora and fauna due to the climate concerns, right, that major concern arisen out of this climate change. Here the president highlighting that 70% of the tiger population of this world, 70% of the entire tiger population of this world is found in India. Therefore, India is place for tiger in the across country, not across the world, not only in this country. And also communities living around these tiger reserve areas and national parks should have a stakeholder contribution. They should be very responsible in terms of environment, that is man and biosphere program kind of sustainable livelihood mechanism has to be adopted. So, Simlipal Tiger Reserve located in her district in Odisha, she is reiterating that Simlipal Tiger Reserve Center in Odisha has a good number of tigers. She added both society and government have to work together to increase the number of tigers and also protect and preserve this animal, that is tiger, the very important one. So, according to All India Tiger Estimation 2022, tiger reserves cover approximately 2% of India's total land area, as it is 2.3% when it compares to tiger reserve, total tiger estimation as per 2022 report. Tiger reserves cover around 2.3% of India's total land area, tiger reserves. Next, India is home to more than 90% of world's tiger population. No, it is already given that 70% of world's tiger population is in India. It is around 75% it seems. Next, Madhya Pradesh has the largest number of tigers. Yes, that is true only. Madhya Pradesh has 785 in terms of number, that is Madhya Pradesh is having 785 tigers, and next followed by Karnataka 563, Uttarakhand 560 and Maharashtra 444. Please remember this chronology, that is Madhya Pradesh 785, Karnataka 563, Uttarakhand 560 and Maharashtra 444. Next, the tiger abundance within tiger reserves in terms of chronological ascending or descending order, you need to remember this thing with respect to tiger reserves, not the entire state. With respect to tiger reserve is highlighted, Jim Corbett is containing 260 tigers, followed by Bandipur Tiger Reserve 150, Nagarhole 141 tigers are there, and Bandhavgarh 135 tigers are there, and Dudhwa 135 and Madhumalai 114, Kanha 105. Please try to remember this chart. You have to mug up this chart. Please remember the chronological order of number of tigers in tiger reserves and also the states containing more number of tigers in ascending or descending order. Next, Election Commission of India launches integrated expenditure monitoring software to file expenditure statement by political parties. Here the political parties having certain privileges also, and they are exempted from Representation of People's Act. They are not mandated to submit certain things. What does it mean? Here it is given in the form of MCQ. What is the exemption provided to these political parties not included under this Representation of People's Act, which needs a reformation in this sector also. That is, India, there is no limit on expenditure that a party can incur during its election campaign. A candidate may incur his election, the report has to be submitted to the Election Commission of India by the candidate, how much money has been spent by him. But with respect to the entire party, the expenditure of the party having no limitation, there is no limit on the expenditure that a party can incur during its election campaign. That is one such disadvantage that is being talked here, and reformation needed to be taken. Next, Representation of People's Act 1951 mandates political parties to file their election expenditure statements within 75 days of assembly elections and 90 days of Lok Sabha elections. Actually, it is not the political party. You need to remember that. Here, contesting political parties are required to file their expenditure statement to the Election Commission of India in the format specified by Election Commission within 75 days of the assembly election and 90 days of the Lok Sabha. So, it is not the Representation of People's Act. It is not the Representation of People's Act. It is Election Commission of India which is mandating political parties to file their election expenditure within 75 days of assembly elections and 90 days of Lok Sabha elections. And it is not mentioned in representation of People's Act. Therefore, this act may be amended to do such kind of value addition. However, Election Commission of India is mentioning the political parties to submit their expenditure sheet within 75 days with respect to Lok Sabha assembly elections and 90 days with respect to Lok Sabha elections. This is decided by Election Commission of India, not Representation of People's Act 1951. But there are no laid down provisions, there are no provisions laid down in Representation of People's Act as well. This is second reformation that needed to be addressed, that is regarding the format and periodicity of submission of expenditure statements nor clause for penalty in case of defaulting parties. This is also important, this is very important. Next thing, statement 1 with respect to it is correct, because unlike the limit of election expenditure imposed on a contesting candidate, means the contesting candidate is imposed to submit the election expenditure, and the limitation also, there is a limitation of 28 lakhs or 70 lakhs with respect to assembly and parliament elections, it seems. Next, Union of India through the Election Commission of India is not, the candidate who is contesting in this Union of India, who is approved by this Election Commission of India, has to submit the amount spent to this Election Commission. But there is also a limitation for the candidate, but there is no limit on the expenditure that a party can incur for its election campaign. This is also important, the reformation, because I have been reiterating several times that it is very useful for your mains answer writing and enrichment. Next, government plans standard of procedure. Fine. Government plans standard of procedure for making small modular nuclear reactors. What does it mean? Here the government is also prioritizing the nuclear power under 14 key sectors under a scheme named as production linked incentivization scheme. Are you fine? Production linked incentivization scheme has identified 14 sectors. Out of these 14 sectors, this power is one such sector, that is nuclear power. Here 1.97 trillion rupees outlay has been announced by the government of India for this production linked incentive scheme for the 14 sectors, for these 14 sectors. And coming to the installed capacity under this initiative will be 22.28 gigawatts expected installed nuclear power capacity by 2023. By 2023, 22 gigawatts of power has to be installed, that is installed capacity has to be strengthened by that time up to 2022 gigawatts. Next, consider the following statements with regard to small nuclear reactors, because the question is about small nuclear reactors only, small modular nuclear reactors. Here there are advanced nuclear reactors that have a power capacity of up to 300 megawatts per unit, that is true. Next, unlike conventional reactors, they do not work on the principle of nuclear, no, they also work on nuclear fission. Okay, so they also work on nuclear fission, therefore the second statement is incorrect. However, these small modular nuclear reactors are advanced nuclear reactors compared to conventional nuclear reactors. However, irrespective of both, the functionality is depending on nuclear fission reaction. So, work on the same principle as general nuclear reactor. This also, that small nuclear modular reactors work on the same principle as the general nuclear reactors work. However, the process of this is called nuclear fission. Nuclear fission involves the splitting of atomic nuclei. As you know that this is splitting of atomic nuclei. In nuclei, it contains electron which is revolving around the nucleus part, that is proton and neutron, right, that nuclei. That atomic nuclei has to be split in this nuclear fission reaction and releasing a significant amount of energy during that split times and in the form of heat. When this heat is converted into energy, that is electrical energy, the turbines will be generating that electricity when the heat is moving towards through these turbines. So, this heat is used to produce steam and which drives turbines and generate electricity. So, this is a general conventional nuclear reactor which works upon nuclear fission principle only. This small modular nuclear reactor also works on the same principle. And with respect to first statement, the second statement is incorrect, but first statement is correct. Here small modular reactors are advanced nuclear reactors that have a power capacity of up to 300 megawatts. It is mentioned in the per unit it can produce, it has a capacity to produce 300 megawatts per unit. which is about 1/3 of the generating capacity of traditional nuclear reactors. This is advanced reactor, but their capacity is 1/3 of this traditional nuclear reactor power reactors. This small modular, that is why they are named as small modular reactors, which can produce a large amount of low carbon electricity. Low carbon electricity means the carbon emission from the small modular reactor is less than that of conventional nuclear reactors. Next, this is International Atomic Energy Agency based content. That is why we have mentioned the source also, the original source, IAEA original website. Next, millets for the rich alone. Here, urban people are aware of their health concerns. Therefore, they have mentioned such health consciousness in the urban areas. They are in thrust of getting these millets. When it comes to rural areas, it is named as poor man's food, that is millets, jowar, bajra, sorghum likewise, and millets. Okay, these millets are currently targeted at rich only and urban buyer, while they can actually benefit the rural poor the most. The government must procure more and make them part of this public distribution system. Therefore, the rural people should also get benefit out of these millets. This is the intention. Therefore, the procurement and distribution of this millet can be decentralized through this PDS shop. So, that is public distribution system units. And next, decentralized to smaller administrative units such as district as well. This is actually the article talking about, but when it comes to this bajra and other millets and the cropping pattern, okay, and their distribution, you need to learn this economic geography aspect. Here, bajra, that is pale millet, is the highest produced millet in India. Rajasthan, is it true statement? Please try to answer this. Okay, just coming to this one. Next, second statement. Rajasthan is largest producer of millets in India. Next, ragi is a rabi crop. Is it true? Okay, good, good. Next, why have you chosen this question? Because UPSC has asked several times regarding these cropping patterns, rice, wheat. Next, coming to this gram, and next millets. Okay, please go through one such PYQ we have mentioned as part of our regular initiation. Next, statement 3 is incorrect because it is not the rabi crop, as you said, because rabi is grown in kharif seasons as well with rainfall as a source of water, and it is grown even during the summer seasons because it is not completely based on the rain. So, it is not a rain fed one, and in some regions with irrigation few sort of irrigation facilities enough for its cropping, okay, that is ragi. And next, coming to this, Rajasthan stands at the top list of this leading millet producing states, and it is contributing around 27% of India's entire total millet production. And India, Nigeria, China are together, these three countries are largest producers of millets in the world, around contributing 55% of the entire millet production in the world. Next, pale millet, that is bajra, and sorghum, that is jowar, bajra, jowar, and finger millet, that is ragi. Jowar, bajra and ragi constitutes the largest share in India's total production in millets. Next, developing nations open to locating loss and damage fund in World Bank. Loss and damage fund in World Bank. Now, there is a session going on, Conference of Parties 28 in United Arab Emirates, that is being discussed here, it seems. So, United Arab Emirates offered a host a 5th meeting to resolve differences among rich and developing countries on November 3 and 4, November 3rd and 4th Novembers. So, this COP28 under United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is going to discuss about the disputes related to this climate responsibility between developed and developing countries. And developed countries has not fulfilled the responsibilities for several times historically, because they are the major contributors for this GHG emission across the world after industrial revolution. This is a core fundamental theory, and therefore, they had more responsibility to contribute for the developing nations, because they are in urge for eradication of poverty, apart from aligning their ideas and their developmental models on the lines of sustainability of the environment. Therefore, this is a quite interesting topic discussed several times, and UPSC has asked regarding exclusively about various COPs, Conference of Parties held under this Framework Convention on Climate Change. And coming to these developing countries which have agreed to a fund which is named as loss and damage fund. these developing countries agreed to send this fund to World Bank under the umbrella of World Bank to make it independent irrespective of its fund being sent under this and administered under World Bank. This is loss and damage fund in World Bank. The developing nations openly accepting that loss and damage fund can be administered under this World Bank. This is also proposal put forth, and this was agreed by most of the developing countries, and this was also initiated by Saudi Arabia, that is United Arab Emirates, that is under this UN Climate Summit COP28, that is Conference of Parties 28, right. This is a basic fundamental understanding. Next, coming to this loss and damage fund, it aims to provide financial assistance to nations most vulnerable and impacted by the effects of climate change, and next it was constituted at COP27 Sharm okay. This is in the form of MCQ. Why we have chosen this one, Green Climate Fund? Let us coming to this loss and damage fund, because we have asked several times regarding global financial facilities, climate related one, and this Green Climate Fund, and also adaptation fund. Okay, there are various funds which have to be contributed from the side of the developed countries for the sustenance of these developing nations when they are in urge for development. Next, the loss and damage fund was established at the 2022 United Nations Climate Conference, that is COP27. The fund aims to provide financial assistance to poorer nations that are dealing with the negative consequences of this climate change, and these consequences can include rising sea levels, extreme heat waves, and desertification, forest fires, and various disasters associated with it, including crop failures. Okay. So, simply this is very simple, loss and damage fund under COP27, which was announced under United Nations Climate Conference. Simple. United Nations Climate Conference COP27 has announced this loss and damage fund in 2022 to provide financial assistance to poorer countries to deal with the negative consequences of this climate change. Next, El Nino may be drying out the southern hemisphere. Here's how that affects the whole planet. I think several times El Nino Moduki was also asked by UPSC in 2011. I think you might have remembered it. We reiterated several times in various lectures in the previous times. That is also one thing, and Indian Ocean Dipole was also asked in 2017, 2011, 2017, and several times this kind of concept came into picture. And intertropical convergence zone also came in 2015. That is in particular region, this ITCZ seldom occurs. That was the statement given there. Therefore, this physical geography related to climatology is very important, and oceanography related questions are also important, because several times it was asked in mains as well. That is important. So, okay, coming to this El Nino part, I think you might have understood you might have had the basics and foundation regarding this El Nino, right? Please go through these basic foundation classes once, because it is replacement of Peruvian cold current. That is Peruvian cold current exactly in the central part of this entire Pacific, what do you call, exactly in the midst of the north and southern part of America, southern continents, and exactly in the bordering the Brazil, and the cold current which is usually existing cold current part, which is replaced by a warm current. Therefore, the pressure gradient force may be shifted, and usual cycle of this pressure gradient may be strengthened, weakened or strengthened because of this El Nino La Nina phenomenon. During this El Nino, because of the replacement of this Peruvian cold current by this warm current, there is a possibility of weakening of mostly the weakening, this will be weakened, mostly the pressure gradient force will be weakened, and there is the wind which is actually shifted towards this. Shifted, what does mean? The cold, during this cold current times, you will be having high pressure region. This high pressure region will move this wind towards the low pressure region that is located in the central part of the Pacific Ocean. But due to this replacement of warm current at this cold current phase, at this cold current place, therefore, this low pressure belt which is attracting the winds across various places, even including this low pressure areas of this Central Pacific Ocean, may also contribute to such kind of weakening of this pressure gradient force. Okay, pressure gradient force which is main cause for the movement of the wind towards the Central Pacific Ocean. Wind which may also carry the moisture during that time. So, there is when wind is being weakened which is moving towards this lower pressure region, and the weakened wind may not carry so much of moisture, and therefore, it will lead to less rainfall in that particular region, that is Central Pacific Ocean region. I think this is a peripheral understanding, it may be confusing you, but I cannot explain you because it will take at least half an hour to 45 minutes for a student who is not a veteran in nature. Because I will give you a simplistic language and terms, but it is quite difficult for you if you do not go through the basics. Please kindly remember this, okay. You should have basics with respect to, because wind moves from high pressure to low pressure region as the water flows from higher altitude to the lower altitude, okay. And this is also very important, that because the wind while carrying, when moving above the surface of this ocean, it may also carry the moisture and it will cause huge rainfall in that low pressure region. So, cyclonic rain for different parts of orographic rainfalls, this pattern is also very important, and monsoon rainfall, okay, different types of rainfall patterns across the world, that is also very important. And global wind system, that is easterlies, westerlies, and also intertropical winds that are moving, that is southeast winds and northeast winds likewise, okay, in the monsoon times. That is the winds which are especially confined to this continental part of India, that is a subcontinental part of India, that is important. So, these are very basics, please go through 11th class NCERT physical geography, okay. Next, coming to this MCQ, if you see this MCQ, because 2 students here are have written mains once, that is fine, but you have not written till now the mains one. So, I have to tell you the basics also sometimes, but do not get worried about the lagging of the information, because few students are new to this, okay. Coming to this El Nino surface winds across the entire tropical Pacific, which is causing such weaker movement of the wind. Usually the wind movement is weaker in the time. Next, the first statement, as I have been explaining yes, you will get to know, that is good that you are very attentive in the class. Next, the ocean temperatures in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean are cooler than average. Ocean temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean are cooler than average. Ocean temperature in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. I have told you that this is replacement of Peruvian cold current with the warm current, okay. How can this eastern part of this Pacific Ocean becoming cooler during this El Nino time? Because replacement of this colder current with warm current may also create warmer situation in the eastern part of this tropical Pacific Ocean. Okay. In the eastern part of this tropical Pacific Ocean, you will witness warmer current which will replace the cold current. Okay. So, next, rainfall is below average over Indonesia and above average over central and eastern Pacific Ocean triangles. Actually, when there is a movement of, here second statement is correct, when there is movement of wind from high pressure to low pressure, you will witness the moisture carrying wind when it is moving over the surface of the ocean. Therefore, the low pressure situation created during El Nino times in the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean may attract the high pressure winds which are carrying moisture moving over the surface of the ocean. Therefore, there is an increased rainfall in the eastern part of this tropical Pacific Ocean, because there is a warm current over the surface here. So, it will attract the winds which are carrying moisture from high pressure region. So, there is an increased rainfall in this region because of the low pressure formed in this eastern part of this tropical Pacific Ocean, and exactly opposite happening in the central part of the Pacific Ocean. Okay. That is why reduced rainfall in that region and the increased rainfall in this region. Okay. Vice versa. During El Nino, the surface winds across the entire tropical Pacific are weaker than usual. Ocean temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific part are warmer than average, and rainfall is below average. Rainfall is below average over Indonesia part and above average over this eastern Pacific Ocean tropical part. Okay. In the Indonesian region you will have less rainfall because of this increased pressure compared to this eastern part of this tropical Pacific Ocean. Next, deadly nursery. More children in Delhi have cancers than any other in Indian city. Is air pollution to blame? Already we are witnessing such an air pollution in Delhi now. Is India prepared for the long term impact of poor air quality? It is also very important. Graded response action plan is being announced by this region of Delhi it has been taken, sorry for this inconvenience, it is not visible to you it seems, because I will read it loudly, please go through it once. The graded response action plan, which has been in the news recently, it is related to air pollution and its control mechanism in the Delhi National Capital Region. Okay. This graded response action plan was asked by UPSC Central Armed Police Force exam 2017, that is why I have taken such question. What does it mean? Why it is confined to only Delhi National Capital Region? Because the plan includes restrictions on vehicles and bans on coal production and firewood use when air quality is very poor, and at the same time it will curb pollution in Delhi and centers graded response action plan come into effect in the national capital from October 1st. Next, adaptation gap report 2023, funding to developing nations declines 15% despite international pledges, rising costs. This actually domestic or private funding sources, no source, that is simply domestic or other private funding may not be able to help this adaptation finance gaps. Okay. No private entity, even the from the side of this domestic market, unable to meet these adaptation finance gaps. What is this adaptation gap report? You will get to know in the form of MCQ. I will give you detailed understanding about it, which assess here the adaptation gap report 2023, which assesses the global progress in climate change adaptation, was released by which of the organizations that already I have told you here this adaptation gap report. This is underprepared, inadequate investment related things it will deal with, and planning on climate adaptation. World Exposure finds that progress on climate adaptation is it will also focus on these things. So, it will have environmental concerns, it will address the gaps related to addressing environmental concerns. It will only address environmental concerns, okay, the gaps associated with environmental issues. United Nations Environmental Program releases this adaptation gap report 2023. Okay. Next thing, DTE reportage, India's dairy industry in trouble. Here DTE report as to how climate change, government policies, COVID-19 or other factors brought the dairy sector into its difficult situation. Next, consider the following statement: Rajasthan is the largest milk producing state. Is it true? Next, India is the largest milk producing country in the world. Is it true? More than 50% of cattle breeding in India is done through artificial insemination. Is it true? I think third statement is incorrect, and there was a question related to such previous year. Largest exporter of rice and largest importer of pulse likewise. Third statement, as I have said, this might be incorrect because artificial insemination to this cattle is very less compared to other parts of the world. In India, only 30% artificial insemination is being done to cattle. So, in Europe and North America, approximately 80% breeding in dairy cattle is done through artificial insemination. But when it comes to India, the coverage is only 30%. At the contribution of artificial artificial insemination to improving milk production has been significant. Okay. Top 5 major milk producing states are Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, and India is the largest milk producing country in the world. Okay. So, the first two statements are correct and the second one is correct, and I will go through the answer writing evaluation of your answers that you have written for today's questions after this winding up the session.